Hello world, hello Australia, it's Jamie here, the Crypto Koala. Now today guys, I've got the co-founder and CEO of ARPA. His name is Felix Xu. Great to have you on today, Felix.
It's my honor to be here. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for your time today, Felix. Now mate, we'll get straight into it. Hey, so tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Actually, I got to the crypto space in the mid 2016. Actually, when I was a investment professional at Fosun Group, one of the largest conglomerate in China, and also like the very international company. So I covered fintech and also big data and AI investments while I was at Fosun. And before that, I was working in New York, but mostly in the hedge fund space, working with investment professionals in that area. So I think crypto is a very interesting space, and so I started to research about it and also to invest. When I was at Fosun, we invested, for example, Nshare, which later became NEO, and then Ontology and also AriesNet and a lot of very excellent projects. So that's how I decided to actually all in myself into the space and founded ARPA back in April last year. So it's been a little over a year now since our inception.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'm a big fan of NEO and Ontology. So it's good that you've been over to the US. So you're currently based in China at the moment. So do you think that China's warming to crypto? I know they're very pro blockchain. I know they're very good with blockchain, but do you feel that they're still harsh towards crypto at the moment?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I got asked by that question very often. So actually, I think the Chinese government is very supportive to the blockchain technology, and so that's how we actually doing a good job collaborating with some government entities and also some very big companies in China and also overseas. So for blockchain technology it's okay. It's actually very much encouraged. But for crypto, we have to be a little more careful. But I think personally, I think crypto is an inherent part of blockchain technology. So if there's blockchain, there has to be crypto. So that's just my takes on on the crypto side.
I agree with you. It needs that financial incentive. It's like the engine behind blockchain. It needs that sort of, especially with proof of work and even with proof of stake, you need that financial incentive, especially if you're starting up a project, that economic reward structure.
Of course. Yeah.
So what inspired you to start ARPA? Going back, like with you and your team, what inspired you to start privacy basically and think of that privacy element?
Of course. So actually, when I was when I was working in the fintech and also big data space, I found that one of the biggest problems for the data industry is there's no ready solution for secure exchange or secure monetization of data. So think about data. It's as long as I can see the data, I can transfer it, I can copy it with zero cost, right? So there's Amazon for all the goods, but there's no Amazon for data. Right, so the whole idea of doing a data exchange so very much intrigued me so from the very beginning, right? So and then with blockchain technology, we can ensure the trust, the trustless transfer of data. However, but you can't protect the data privacy just using blockchain. So that's how we came up with the idea of doing a privacy preserving computation network that can be built on top of other blockchains, actually compatible to a lot of blockchains, to enable them for this kind of private smart contract feature and also, secure computation feature on data, right? So you can think about us as like an AWS that can process encrypted data. So we can't see anything see any of the raw data. However, we can run analysis or even build models on those data without looking at it.
Oh, brilliant. So I've got this right. At the core of your project, and as I went through your white paper, went through your website, is a second layer solution which provides a smart contract. So with multiple blockchains, including Ethereum and iOS, do you think that it needs smart contracts?
Yes, yeah, very much. So, so I think like there are two big kind of obstacles for mass adoption of blockchains. The first one is being the scalability problem, right? So there are a lot of projects that are doing sharding, to tackle that problem. And the second one is privacy, right? So the privacy actually has like two different aspects, right? The first one is being, you have dark coins, right? So like the coins that you can hide the transactions, but and the other aspect, is more related to data, right? So for example, all the smart contracts right now is all transparent, right? So the result and also the input. So what we want to do is we want to hide the input and still being able to be processed, to be, run the analysis or the computation task without looking at the raw data. And also the nodes will not get the result neither. So that's how, like we can bring smart contracts and also blockchains to the mass. For example, enterprise usage and also a lot of usages that process valuable personal data. Yes.
So with the use of smart contracts, sometimes it requires the TPS, the transaction speed, and a fair bit of, depending on how complex a smart contract is, a fair bit of computational power to go into that. So how do you achieve, you state that you're going to have lightning fast performance. How are you looking to achieve this, but still manage to keep a smart contract, a complex smart contract?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So, so there are actually two characteristics of multi-party computation, which is a cryptography technique that we use. Is our core technology. So it's called MPC. Right. The first one is we can enable multiple parties that they jointly kind of doing analysis or even building model on encrypted data. Right. So each party has some of the data, or but then like they will together, they can run analysis on different features, but without seeing the raw data. So that's the first feature, is the privacy preserving feature. And the second feature is actually the verifiability feature. So it's a little complicated. So basically, whatever we process in our computation network of MPC, it can be proved back to the blockchain, right? Because it's verifiable computation. There's always a message authentication code that comes with each computation, actually each multiplication of encrypted data, right? So there's a MAC check, and as long as the MAC check sum up to zero, and that means that computation is done correctly according to the cryptography protocol, to our protocol. So like for each of the smart contract processing and or like just normal computation task, you only need a set of nodes to perform the computation. You don't require all the nodes to perform the same computation. That's how we achieve the scalability and the speed for smart contract processing.
Okay, so I've got this right. You only need minimal amount of nodes to achieve the computation, basically, instead of multiple nodes. That's so you mentioned the main use case, the main use case of ARPA chain. Could you tell us about some of the other use cases as well?
Yeah, sure. Actually, like we separate our use cases to enterprise facing and also customer facing. So right now, like since our inception a year ago, like the most kind of the area that we explore is in the finance sector. For example, so that's mostly kind of enterprise facing area. So for example, if you want to search for blacklist across multiple banks, right? So you want to keep the privacy of that inquiry, so the input, and also you want to keep the privacy for all the databases of blacklists on kind of the on multiple banks, right? So using MPC, we can search, or we can do the input in an encrypted way and search that input, to match for the blacklist in big use case in finance, and it's very useful for credit default prevention of personal loans, right? So, but we can also do kind of credit analysis or credit default analysis using multiple sources of data. For example, user behavior data, for example, credit card transactions, and also e-commerce transactions, right? So for all those data sources, they can monetize their data in a privacy preserving way, and together they can calculate a credit score for a person. For example, like like 80 percentage or 5% or something. So those are the enterprise facing solutions, and that works in finance, in medical, in healthcare. Because like a person can go to hospitals, multiple hospitals, but they all want to kind of do the same diagnosis, combining all the medical data, right? So that's in medical, in healthcare, and also in advertising. For example, you want to do a secure matching, a kind of overlapping data between your landing page of your advertisement and also your e-commerce page, that to see how many people really bought your project, really bought your product. So that's how, like, like right now, like we are exploring mostly kind of enterprise facing areas, but we can also do customer facing. For example, for the apps, like there are a lot of usages. So for example, like crypto key management. So there's a very big problem right now in the crypto space, is that, like the crypto wallet, you always have to safeguard your own key, right? So what if we can use multi-party computation? When we generate the key, it's generated on multiple nodes, and you have to have certain percent of the node, for example, 2 out of the 3 nodes, to approve that, to do the authentication. However, like if you just like for example, if you lose your own key, you can still retrieve it from 2 other custodians, right? So that's like a big improvement of security for crypto wallets. So that's like customer facing solution using MPC. And the other one is actually the personal data wallet, right? So a lot of people talk about how they monetize personal data using crypto, but the biggest problem is that as long as they sell the data, they lose it forever. So our solution for this kind of secure data wallet is that whoever wants to use the data, they cannot see your data, right? So I can store my data using secret sharing on multiple trustless nodes. And for example, one advertiser or one kind of insurance company want to know more about me, they can run an MPC analysis combining all these nodes, right? And they have a user profile of me. However, they need to pay me token, and they cannot see any of my privacy data. So that's how we call it data renting instead of data selling. Yeah, so there are many other use cases. I'll just be brief here.
Yeah, it sounds like some really good use cases there, Felix, and it gives some of the ones that really stand out to me. So they all stand out, but there was 2 in particular at the beginning, was banking and the medical side of things. Now, in my fiat job, I work in the medical industry, and I think that, say for instance, there was a blockchain that had patient records stored. Having a protocol, a second layer solution that embedded privacy into that within a smart contract would be crucial. And I think there's something that lacks smart contracts, something that would, if a blockchain was to be implemented in a healthcare industry or within the banking system and they utilize blockchain, I think that it's so important to have that private element put into that. So it seems some very good use cases there, Felix, what you said. So,
yeah, sure. Yep.
So you guys have developed the testnet. It's currently running on Ethereum. So once you've got your mainnet fully launched, and what are you actually looking to achieve? But once the mainnet is up and running, what are you looking at actually achieving with the mainnet?
Yeah. So right now, our testnet is kind of like a showcase of a lot of functions that we can perform using MPC. For example, arithmetics or kind of matrix multiplications, and sorting, and also all different sorts of functions that we can perform on encrypted data. So for our mainnet by the end of this year, and we look to achieve, so people can kind of call, our computation network using proxy smart contract on Ethereum and also on other blockchains. We are kind of pushing for collaboration with several very big public blockchains and also enterprise blockchains, right? So they can always kind of do the inputs and provide the functions to perform within ARPA network. And of course, they need to pay token, they need to pay the gas. It's mostly going to be a very robust system that can, safeguard the secure data exchange or kind of data transactions. And so I just want to kind of elaborate here of our relationship between blockchains and ARPA. So you can view blockchain as a ledger, right? So for example, there's transactions between multiple parties. There's always the trust issue, right? So blockchain can solve that trust issue by providing this kind of immutable ledger, right? However, if you want to kind of have the secure transaction of data, you cannot do that with blockchain, right? So that's how we come into the play, because we can perform computation on encrypted data. So that's how we protect privacy. So as long as you want to sell your data, monetize your data, transfer your data, exchange your data, you can use our solution to make it safer, to make it privacy preserving. Yeah, that's where where we want to play. We want to compete with the giants, like for example public clouds, because they don't have the privacy preserving feature.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good thing to emphasize a bit more as well, is that you're looking at tapping into them enterprise public blockchains and enterprise blockchains, which we've sort of touched on briefly before. But I wondered if we could be able to talk about one of the biggest enterprise blockchains sort of in that space is Baidu. So I wondered if that's something we could talk about a bit, being one of the enterprise blockchains that you've been working with there.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in China, there's Alibaba blockchain. It's called Ant blockchain, and there's also Baidu's superchain, so XUPR superchain, and several other companies also have their own blockchains. So for us, right now, we are working with Alibaba Cloud, to provide MPC feature on top of their cloud, and it's kind of in collaboration with their enterprise blockchain. So it's a huge news for us, because Alibaba is definitely one of the largest internet company in the world, right? And they have business relationship with almost all e-commerce companies, and a lot of and they're expanding into a lot of traditional industries like manufacturing, like finance and etc. Right? So they are willing to kind of do a bundle with us, for us to provide MPC solution on top of their blockchains. So it's very beneficial for for ARPA to do the business development with them, right? So that's with Alibaba. But we are also in talk with Baidu Superchain, because they are also open kind of the ecosystem, right? So they want to attract very hardcore technical projects like us, to kind of add value for their enterprise partners and enterprise clients. And actually, except for kind of the Chinese enterprise blockchains, we are now also in talk with IBM blockchain, right? So and we are also in talk with Hyperleger, in order to provide them with privacy preserving feature. So it's kind of our strategy, right? So our strategy for the short term is still kind of doing the enterprise facing, because because enterprises are the ones that mostly that they care about their privacy, their data privacy the most, right? Because they have the most valuable data. And later on, we will shift to more customer facing, because I believe ultimately everyone should safeguard their own data, right? Should be able to monetize their own data in a privacy preserving way. Yeah.
So you mentioned some of the big boys there. We've got Alibaba, Baidu in the enterprise space. But are you working with any with the public blockchain? So in the cryptocurrency space, what sort of ones are you working with there? Like basically like your Ethereums and things like that.
Yeah. So right now, we announced actually three partnerships. The first one is with IOST. So IOST, so our founder, so the IOST team, they have known us for a very long time. Actually, I met with Jimmy 5 years ago in New York, right? So we have good relationship all the time. So we talk all the time. So it's very good to see them grow very fast last year. So that's how we want to catch up. So basically, like what we can collaborate with IOST is that we can provide them with MPC computation, and a lot of their games actually, and their kind of DApps, they want to have this privacy preserving feature or private smart contract. That's how we want to provide them. And we also have this partnership with Block Cloud. They did their IEO with OKEX, and so it's a very hot project at the moment. And they can provide us a lot of top university resources because they have good relationship with a lot of top academias and also research institutions. And we can provide them with corporate accesses, right? Because we have a lot of like enterprise partners, and also we can sell our solutions together, to promote our solutions together, kind of like a bundle sale.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like some great mutual benefits from Block Cloud there for both of you guys. So you mentioned earlier on that you started your project earlier on in 2018, right at the very beginning of the interview. Since that time, how have you managed to fund the project? So how did you manage to get your funds, or what funds did you get to actually start building?
Okay, gotcha. So actually, like we started our project at a very hard time, right? So I do remember after May last year, so May 2018, like the crypto price has been like this, right? Ethereum, we raised our first kind of the seed round. Ethereum was $500, and right now it's 170. So and when the reached the lowest of $80, right? So we didn't sell in time, right? So we sold all the kind of fund raised when Ethereum was like $200, right? So we raised 2 rounds. It was the same price, kind of the same price for all the private investors, but they had different lockups. But like all the private investors tokens are locked for the first 3 months, and they have like kind of monthly or quarterly release afterwards. So we raised, $4 million in the private rounds, and totaling, 10% of our all token. And then we did our IEO with actually, we did our IEO on biz.com and also on TokenMan, right? So Biz is actually an up and coming exchange in China, and the founder was actually like a serial entrepreneur that his last venture was bought out by Baidu, right? So he's a huge expert in marketing and also in operation, internet kind of operation. So that's how we trust him, and we want to grow with Biz. And the reason why we collaborate with TokenMan is that TokenMan has the largest crypto community in Korea. Korea is very important for us. It's a very important market for us. Actually, right now we are building a partnership with 2 of their top public blockchains, and also very big enterprises there. So it's going to be announced soon, right? So so for TokenMan, they have 500,000 crypto audience in Korea, because their kind of their community was founded in 2012, and it was firstly kind of the mining of Bitcoin, and later on they also focus on altcoins and other interesting projects, right? So that's how we try to build up both international communities and also Korea community at the same time.
So you're starting to you can start to go outside of China. You're starting to stay in China, build up in China, but you're also looking at the Korean markets as well. So
of course.
So you mentioned, have I got this right? You had an IEO, but you're looking at having another one coming soon, or have you already had both your IEOs?
Yeah, actually we had, the IEO is done. And but soon we're gonna be listed on several other exchanges. So we have our listing plan. It's gonna be so it's gonna be good. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So
exchanges. Yeah.
So just with the funds actually, right? So you feel like you've got adequate funds now that will take you through to, to your mainnet, to build the mainnet, to fund your developers and to see you through till, you know, the next 24 months?
I think we are well funded for the next 24 months, because so first of all, you know, we are very kind of strict on budget, right? So for example, myself, you know, I didn't take salaries ever since like this project started as CEO, and all our co-founders, you know, we take like a 90% pay cut or even more, you know, versus our prior jobs, because we all, you know, we were all working at, you know, very good companies like Google, Amazon, you know, and also Fosun, and also, you know, and also Fidelity. So that's how we are, you know, that's how much, you know, commitment that we have in this project, right? So first of all, the cost for the team is very low, and the second one is, you know, we have strong commitment. So we are well funded, and you know, we usually deliver things even faster than we expect.
I take my hat off to any developers or projects that actually started back in 2018, because that sort of weeded out a lot of projects. And for anyone that's gone through that whole time and survived and is still building in that time and come through till now, it's actually a testament, as it will. So, you know, it's something to take notice for any project if they've been through that hard time, that crypto winter. But it does seem at the moment how it is, touch wood, we're going into a crypto spring with the current markets, and it does seem that the markets at the moment are starting to look a bit more better in the crypto space. So
yep.
I wonder if we could talk about your actual token. So you've had your IEO and you've had token distribution. So could we talk about some of the functions of your ARPA token? How is it used?
Of course. So token is a very important thing for ARPA network, right? So the first of all is the data exchange, the kind of the medium of exchange of data, because, you know, we focus on the data market, the data industry, right? So all the applications that build on top of our computation network is going to be data related, right? So we use ARPA token for exchange of data. So that's the first usage. The second usage is going to be the computation, right? Because ARPA is a computation network. Essentially, you know, people provide computation power, and in order to kind of in order to earn the revenue of computing tasks, right? So all the computing kind of power is going to be paid in ARPA token. So that's second. And the third one is actually the security deposit for being a computation node, and also for staking, right? So we have 30% of mining. So it's going to be split into two parts. The first one is going to be the largest one. It's going to be the reward for miners or for computation nodes, right? So the second one is going to be staking, right? So for example, you know, people lock up their tokens and also do the contribution for the network. They can also get some incentives in ARPA token. So that's the third usage. And the fourth usage is going to be the kind of the governance and also voting for, you know, for using ARPA. Yeah, so those are the token usage.
Yeah, okay, Felix. So you recently announced this pretty new news for you guys, is that you're doing an airdrop, Project Apollo. I wonder if you're about to just go into detail what that's about.
No problem. Okay. So Project Apollo is actually going to be a very long project, a very long kind of campaign. So it's not going to be a week. It's not even going to be 2 weeks or a month. It's going to be long term, right? So so it's actually benefit us from many aspects. Being the first one being, you know, we try to collect traffic, right? We don't want to kind of just direct the traffic directly into the exchanges. You know, we want to have our own traffic. So people contribute into our network. For example, Telegram, Twitter, and also some bounty programs. They can collect the rewards, you know, within our kind of this Project Apollo. So you have to register on our website. So it's going to be live next week, by the I think Wednesday next week, right? So register on the website, and you can take some tasks, and then you provide a proof of the task done, and then you can get some token rewards. So it's going to be firstly a score, and then we will direct all these people into an exchange, and then in there they can get a real token for airdrop. So and also one very innovative thing is that we have several layers of referral. So right now we are designing a 5-layer referral system. So you can refer your friend, and then when your friend refer like other friends, they still can you can still get some rewards as well. So so it's very kind of a growth hacking way for us to get some traffic. It's also beneficial for the exchange as well, because like people has to pass KYC for certain exchange in order to get an airdrop. Yeah. So that's the first phase of our project Apollo, and the second phase is going to be related to our kind of staking, right? So people can choose to stake, to provide staking and get reward, and also they can also contribute, and they can also refer other people to kind of do the staking as well. So so that benefit us. They kind of like being our token price is going to be more stable when other people kind of stake, and that also shows confidence in our project as well.
Great stuff, Felix. So what I'll do, guys, I'll put the links down below, so you better check that out for yourselves. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. I'm not asking you to get involved with that project. It's up to you to do your own research and do due diligence, and to check them out for yourself. Great talking today, Felix. It's been an absolute wonderful chat with you, mate, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, Felix. Goodbye, mate.